Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Baby Back Rib Show. Another solo video going on here. I am your host, Cole Cunningham, making my required monthly appearance on here. But today we're going to be doing a little bit of a little reaction here. Just kind of seeing what's going on. We're going to react to Daniel Jeremiah's 2025 mock draft 2.0, full first round here, all 32 picks. And you guys are like probably wondering why are you reacting to a mock draft? Why aren't you doing one of your own? Because mainly I just wanted to react to it because I feel like Daniel Jeremiah, he's probably the most reliable source when it comes to these things, like a mock draft. Because if you were to go back and kind of look at his previous, especially his final mock drafts, it does kind of mirror the what actually happens very well. So this is kind of something that we're going to keep tabs on over here at the Baby Back Rib Show, see what Daniel Jeremiah thinks, and kind of just use that to kind of speculate who's going to go where. But yeah, with that being said, let's go through these picks and let's react. Let's kind of see what's going on here. Starting with number one, which of course is gonna be the Tennessee Titans. They're gonna be taking Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter, and I think Abdul Carter is a great player. I think he's probably the consensus best player in the draft so far. I think it's between him and Travis Hunter. And I could easily see the Titans going here and taking an edge rusher, kind of filling that need. Because mainly, they said they're kind of just going to take the best player available here, essentially. And I see that happening. I see them going in this direction because I do like some of the quarterbacks at the top of this class, but I don't know. I feel like there's kind of just it's not as quality as it was last year, and maybe they're kind of looking ahead to next year, which is a little scary because it's like, do you even have next year? I mean, you're picking for the number one pick this year. If you do it again, if you're gonna be the worst team in the NFL 2 years in a row, are you still gonna have your job? That's kind of the big question here with Abdul Carter. But I think worst case scenario for Abdul Carter is he falls to number two to the Browns. I think he's already kind of locked in as a top two pick. But yeah, I think for the Titans, I think this would be a great pick. I think it's going to be either Carter or Travis Hunter or a quarterback. And you look at our first three picks here, it's Carter, quarterback, Travis Hunter. So this is kind of how it's going to go here, and I do think that Abdul Carter as a number one pick would be a great pick by the Titans there, and is personally my probably number one player in the draft. So I have no problem with that. But you go to number two, you go to the Browns. I think in a dream world for the Browns, I think they trade Myles Garrett. In a dream world where they do trade Myles Garrett, I feel like they would then kind of have Abdul Carter just fall into their laps right there, kind of just be that easy replacement. But in DJ's situation here, you see Carter going one, and then they say, well, what do we do now? Well, we don't really have a quarterback because Deshaun Watson, one, is bad, and two, is very hurt, and who knows if he's going to play football again, which honestly, as an NFL fan, thank God. But I digress. So you see them taking Cam Ward here, which I think that would probably be the pick here for the Browns if Carter goes number one, just because they do need a quarterback, and Cam Ward probably is the best quarterback in this draft class. You've kind of seen it's between him and Shedeur Sanders, and me personally, I am more of a believer in Cam Ward. I saw him at Washington State, and now seeing him this last year at Miami, just kind of the player that he's grown into. Yeah, I mean, that extra year really helped him out a lot, and you see it here with him being a top two draft pick, and hopefully he can be kind of finally settle in and be the franchise guy here for the Browns. And then number three, you have Travis Hunter going to the New York Giants, and at first, excuse me, at first glance you're probably thinking, what? WTF? The Giants? I mean, who's throwing him the ball? Well, if you've been on Twitter, which I know, not everybody's on Twitter, not everybody's kind of extremely dialed in. People have lives, people have jobs. I get that. Uh, in this scenario, Daniel Jeremiah has the Giants trading for Matthew Stafford, which, yeah, he recently just, it was recently announced that, he's been able, he's free to seek a trade elsewhere, which is weird by the Rams. I feel like they're kind of rushing this whole life without Matthew Stafford thing. But what I guess better late than never, right? Um, so in this scenario, he has Stafford kind of going to the Giants here, and then them taking Travis Hunter with their number three pick to kind of give him another target to throw to with Malik Neighbors. And then obviously Travis Hunter, he's that dual threat player, two way player. He can play corner. So that's the thing with Travis Hunter. He can kind of fill two holes, but with one player, that did not come out right. But I digress. Travis Hunter, he's a great player, and yeah, if the Giants, if they could make that happen, where they trade for an elite quarterback like Stafford, or then take a generational prospect and Travis Hunter, I think they'd be in a great situation, and probably the best situation they've been in a long time. But we'll see how that goes. But then we go to number four here, and the Patriots taking Will Campbell, tackle out of LSU, and yeah, I think this is a fine pick. The Patriots, they do need help on that offensive line. Get Drake May some help, build around your franchise quarterback. Me personally, I think I'd rather go receiver here. I'd go with a guy like Tedero McMillan out of Arizona. No bias there at all, but I think that would be my personal pick. But I do think that tackle is usually one of those like premium needs in the draft. So I think you have quarterback, you have edge rusher, you have tackles. Those are kind of always just the biggest needs for these teams that are close to the number one pick, because they just they're lacking that they're lacking in the trenches, and they're also lacking a quarterback most of the time. So that's why for these high picks you always kind of see a lot of tackles, a lot of edge rushers, not a lot of like the sexier picks like a receiver or a running back or anything like that. So that's why the Patriots are over here kind of filling in those needs in the trenches instead of kind of going with the more sexier picks, some might say. Then you go to number five here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Got new head coach Liam Cohen in there, and as he said, Duval. I don't know why he said it like that, but apparently because of that, a lot of people are already writing him off, which is weird. As an Arizona Cardinals fan, we had to see this with Jonathan Gannon when he was acting all weird before actually coaching. But I digress. Yeah, they go with Mason Graham here, tackle out of Michigan, defensive tackle, I should say. Yeah, the Jaguars, they could use help, any defensive help possible, and DJ has them going, best player available here. Because I mean, you look at Michigan, they've had a great defense the last couple of years, kind of led them to a national championship essentially. So very very easy pick for them here. And then we go to number six, and the Raiders, with new coach Pete Carroll. They feel their need at quarterback, getting Shador Sanders out of Colorado, who in the combine coming up this week. So kind of glad we're doing this right before the combine. Just announced he's not going to throw, which I mean, it's kind of normal with these high prospects. They usually kind of are just there for the interviews and whatnot, and kind of let their actual game in college speak for themselves. But it's a very normal thing. But yeah, I feel like if you're the Raiders, you absolutely need to kind of fill a need. If you have a coach like Pete Carroll, it's like can't really build with him, because I mean, dude's what, like 72, 73 years old. It's like how long does he have as a coach? We have no idea. So it's kind of like just kind of get what you can in this draft and then just see what happens. And I think Shador Sanders, best quarterback available in this draft, probably going to be the only quarterback you see, the only other quarterback you see going in this first round, if I had to guess here. But yeah, so I think them going with Sanders, I feel is a very big need for them. Hopefully, if he can pan out. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I think him working with Chip Kelly, I think it would be interesting to see, because I mean the Raiders, they need a lot right now, and I think getting Sanders, at least, that kind of could fill your need at quarterback for the foreseeable future. So I think it's a solid pick. Then you go to the Jets, another one of these teams with a new head coach here. I'm gonna go with Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end. I just want to say he looked awesome in the game against. Oh, I forgot who it was against. I think it might have been Notre Dame. I would say it was against Notre Dame. He looked great there in the college football playoff. And tight end one in this draft, and really has been a turning heads, I feel like, in this offseason, and would definitely be another target that the Jets desperately need. Among other positions, they need a lot right now. They're going to be without Aaron Rodgers. They bring in their new head coach, Aaron Glenn, who I think that's a pretty good hire. So I'm glad they made that hire. But yeah, I think Tyler Warren here. Yeah, solid pick. Fills in a good need because I just feel like their tight end room has been lacking. And this is kind of just the best player available right here. Then we move to the Panthers here at 8, taking edge rusher Jalen Walker out of Georgia. If you look at the Eagles, these Georgia edge rushers just seem to churn out and always be great. So the Panthers kind of taking a step in that direction, especially because this does fill a need. They're going to lose Jadeveon Clowney in the offseason here. And they just need whatever they can on that defense, kind of build around guys like Derek Brown and J.C. Horn if he can either stay healthy. But I could see this as another spot where you could see a receiver go. Building through the just getting those premium positions. Once again, like we talked about, seems like it should be a bigger need for Daniel Jeremiah. That's what he's thinking. So that's why the Panthers are going Jalen Walker here. And you go to number 9 to the Saints with newly acquired head coach Kellen Moore and newly acquired defensive coordinator Brandon Staley. Yikes! Good luck with that. Seems like he has them taking their edge rusher of the future, Mike Green, out of Marshall, who I think led college football in sacks with 17, if I recall correctly. Smaller school, but so you do have to take that into effect, but still. 17 sacks at any college program. I feel like that's very impressive. And not only that, but Mike Green is just a really great, just guy has all the tools and a very great athlete. So I think he's a very solid edge rusher, and I think if the Saints got him, that gives them a guy to kind of build with that defense, whatever they got going on over there. Because the Saints, they need a lot. The Saints are so weird because like they need to go through a rebuild. They need to find a way to free up some money. Like how can you be this bad and spending so much money? That's what happens when you just push all these contracts down through the years. And if you're the GM there, you're thinking, oh, I'm just gonna the next guy can take care of it. Well, it's like now you're in this situation where it's like you can't spend any money. So what are you gonna do? I guess you just got to build through the draft and somebody like Kellen Moore, kind of taking on that responsibility to try to make something out of the Saints team. And I think to add Mike Green to that defense, which doesn't need an edge rusher because I feel like Cam Jordan, he's not getting any younger. So you kind of go in a younger direction here. I like the pick with Mike Green at number 9. And then we go to number 10 with the Bears. They get Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Absolute insane athlete, just a mauler in the trenches. And he can play tackle or guard as it says here. I just think if you're Ben Johnson, coming in and just getting a tackle to kind of solidify that offensive line like Kelvin Banks, that's a great move, and that's exactly what we should be looking for here at the number 10 pick. Is just kind of fill in those needs and maybe take a best player available like Kelvin Banks probably would be at this point. I have no problem with this pick. This is a great pick. Let's move to number 11, Will Johnson. For the San Francisco 49ers, cornerback out of Michigan. I feel like the Niners, they're a team that they haven't had like a super like great corner in a few years. I feel like since they've lost, who was it, Charvarius Ward, it's just kind of been like a who's who there at the cornerback position. Tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think like getting a guy like Johnson who, just overall just a fantastic player, another guy from that insane Michigan defense. This would be a great pick for the Niners. I'd be kind of scared as a Cardinals fan, in that division if they got a guy like this. I'd be, a guy like Robert Saleh, who we've seen with the Niners before. Kind of getting all this talent to work with and just focus on the defense. I think that'd be a very scary sight for any team in the NFC. So another solid pick for the 49ers hypothetically. Then you move to the Cowboys, where they just they promote their offensive coordinator to their head coach. I do want to say a pretty solid staff that he brought in. But I don't know. I just feel weird about making Brian Schottenheimer your head coach. I feel like they just didn't have a plan. But I mean, Jerry Jones is even thinking at all. Does his brain function? Probably not. But I digress. Walter Nolan, tackle out of Ole Miss. Yeah, I feel like the Cowboys are a team that they could use some D tackles there to kind of help Micah Parsons and Marcus Lawrence kind of get to the quarterback, and to get a player like Walter Nolan that instantly fills that need. And so I feel like that would be a solid pick to kind of start this little retool that they got going on there in Dallas. And we go to pick 13 here. The Miami Dolphins taking Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. I feel like the Dolphins, they just always need help on the offensive line. Teron Armstead, he gets injured every 4 games. And, everybody else, it's like, who do they even got over there? You need somebody to protect, especially when you have a quarterback like Tua, who, has all this injury history. You need to kind of get him some protection to throw it to all these star receivers out there. And then you move to 14. You got the Indianapolis Colts here taking Armand Membu out of Missouri. The Colts, they always, I feel like, if you get an offensive tackle, you get a premium position like that going to Indianapolis. I feel like it always turns out very well. You got guys like Bernard Ryman and Quentin Nelson over there, Ryan Kelly. It's great development system over there when it comes to the offensive line. So could immediately start for the Colts and protect Anthony Richardson and just try to help them win some more games in Indianapolis. Because I feel like last year was kind of a disappointment. I feel like a lot of people saw them to kind of compete more for the division, and to kind of just fill those team needs would definitely help them a lot more in doing that. And now we move to the Falcons, number 15, where they take Micah Williams, Georgia edge rusher. I don't think this will happen because the Falcons, who have needed an edge rusher for the last decade, they never take one. A lot of people thought last year was finally going to be the year. I was one of those people. I was thinking, oh, they'll just take Dallas Turner, and then that'll be that. No, they went with Michael Penix, which in hindsight looks pretty good because now he's your starter. But that's just because Kirk Cousins was so bad, at the stretch there. But if they do finally decide to use that first round pick to take an edge rusher, first of all, I think it would be a fantastic pick because Michael Williams is awesome. But and then it's like you finally get some real talent on that defensive line, which I feel like they've been needing. You have guys like Arnold Ebiketie, and they drafted Rook Aroro. I don't even know how to say his name. I just feel like I sound like Scooby Doo there. But you got him. But I feel like if you get a real actual legit just dog, and no pun intended, and Michael Williams here, then you finally have something to build with there. You already have guys like, you're losing Calais Campbell in free agency, who's old, and they just have a lot of needs right now on the defensive side, and I feel like a guy like Michael Williams, who's a sick athlete, would definitely help with that. So that's where I have them going there. And then number 16, my Arizona Cardinals, they have them taking Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Now here, I think this is an absolute great pick when it comes to just taking need. I feel like you should probably take somebody on the either defensive or offensive line if you're Arizona. Preferably, I prefer an edge rusher, but at this area, I don't know who you'd get. So I think going with a guy like Kenneth Grant, another defensive tackle, kind of filling the trenches. You're getting B.J. Ojolari back from an ACL tear. You got Darius Robinson, who you took last year, who didn't really get too much play time, was coming off an injury and just a lot of off the field stuff going on over there. So it'll be interesting to see, how those guys kind of will come back and play. But I think to get a guy like Kenneth Grant will definitely help to kind of build what they got going on there with Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon. So I think, if as a Cardinals fan, I give this pick a thumbs up. It's a thumbs up. I give it a boom, if you will. And then we move to pick number 17. We got the Cincinnati Bengals taking Jahdae Barron, corner out of Texas, and very simple. If you're the Bengals, you can take all the defensive help you can get. You got Joe Burrow lighting up the league, putting up MVP numbers, and you can barely win a game because your defense was just 11 revolving doors out there. So I feel like preferably they'd probably want to get in the trenches, but like I said, the Bengals could use any help they can get. So to take somebody to help in the secondary, that's a win in itself. So I do like that pick as well. And now we move to number 18, the Seahawks. They get Gray Zabel, out of North Dakota State. Awesome Senior Bowl. A guy you can kind of just throw anywhere on the offensive line. And I feel like the Seahawks, they always need help on the trenches, especially offensively. So a great pick to kind of help that offense, which I feel like struggled a little bit last year. And yeah, it doesn't really get doesn't get much better when you guy who can literally just play all five positions there. So yeah, would be another solid pick. Then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here taking one of my guys, one of the best players in the draft in my opinion, and Tedero McMillan. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's any chance in hell that T Mac is gonna fall this low in the draft. I feel like he's definitely a top 10 pick guy. But hey, we'll see how that plays out. But I would love this pick for the Buccaneers. They have great wide receivers already. You have Hall of Famer Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who is going to be a free agent. But great receiver play over there the last decade, and you get an awesome prospect in T Mac to help Baker Mayfield out there in Tampa Bay, and I feel like you do that, and I feel like that's just a great pairing. You kind of have the predecessor to Mike Evans, maybe even a better version of Mike Evans, respectfully. And a guy like McMillan, I think this would just be an awesome pick and an awesome place for T Mac to land. But yeah, I love T Mac. That's all I gotta say. Then you move to the Broncos, pick number 20. They get Colston Loveland. Sean Payton always been a big fan of his tight ends. Whether it's been Jimmy Graham or even a gadget guy like Taysom Hill. Always somebody who wants to get his tight ends involved, and I feel like getting a guy like Colston Loveland. You saw Tyler Warren already get picked, so I think Loveland would be the pick here if you're the Broncos to kind of help Bo Nix, give him another, kind of that safety blanket on offense. Then you move to pick number 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ashton Jenney, the Heisman Trophy runner-up, and I would love this pick for the Steelers because I feel like their running back room sucks. Najee Harris, very mid. Jalen Warren, I do like. I think he could be better than Najee Harris, but I mean, my hype for him is kind of starting to fall off a little bit. But you get a guy like Ashton Jenney who can just do everything basically as a running back. I mean, his film in college, his last year at Boise State was just incredible to watch. It's like I've never seen a player just dominate an offense like he did. Did kind of struggle against I want to say Penn State in the college football playoff, but still I think Jenney is overall one of the top five, just talent-wise players in this draft. And I think if the Steelers got him, that'd be a slam dunk. Then we move to the Chargers, who he also has them taking running back Amarian Hampton out of the UNC. Me personally, I would probably go with a guy like Luther Burden here, who you're going to see is not even in this first round, which is crazy. Because there are some names missing in this first round mock draft that I feel like there's a lot of question marks as to why. One of them James Pierce Jr. Apparently there's character concerns, but I feel like that's just kind of like a smoke screen. I'm not a big believer in that. I feel like James Pierce is a great player, one of the best edge rushers in this draft class. But I guess those character concerns are so bad that they're making him not even be on the on this big board. I'm it's very surprising to me. So for the Chargers, I do like them getting offensive help because I feel like they do need more weapons. Because I feel like a lot of the time, especially in their playoff game, I think was their playoff game. It's like I know you have Ladd, but I feel like it's like Will Dissly is their second best target out there. So I feel like that just was not a great situation for Justin Herbert at all. I feel like in the playoffs they were kind of set up for failure on the offensive side. So me personally, I'd probably go receiver. But I do like his idea of just going offensive skill positions. So I do agree with that. Then the Green Bay Packers taking Josh Simmons, Ohio State, offensive tackle. I feel like this will be a good spot for him because Green Bay, they're a team that they can always use some help on the offensive line and protect Jordan Love, so he can throw to those receivers. So yeah, I'm a fan of the Simmons pick. I like it, and he's great talent. I feel like this class is just full of a lot of talent on the offensive line. So you see the Packers cashing on that. So good pick. And then we move to number 24. I mean, we got a run of Ohio State players here. If you can't see, number 24, you have the Vikings taking Travion Henderson, out of Ohio State, and I do like this pick. He kind of compares him to Jahmyr Gibbs, which think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I do like the pick. Kind of saw Aaron Jones slowing down a little bit last year. It didn't look too great. He is headed for free agency, as a DJ says. Um, but yeah, I feel like getting a player like Henderson to kind of fill in that open spot that'll kind of become available. I think that's a great idea. So I do like the Vikings cashing in on that because I feel like when it comes to their needs and at this pick, this is kind of best player available, and because you kind of don't really know what's going to go on with Sam Darnold yet, so you're kind of just a wait and see. But as of right now, I think going running back it would be the right choice for the Vikings. And now we move to the Houston Texans, who take Emeka Ibuka, former teammate of C.J. Stroud's in college. See them reunite, and I do like this pick because you're gonna lose Stephon Diggs in free agency. You don't know what's gonna go on with Tank Dell. He's probably gonna miss most of the year, if not all of it. So to fill that kind of wide receiver 2 role, you get a guy like Ibuka who kind of already has that chemistry with Stroud. I think that's probably the best case scenario because I feel like you're going to lose out on Stroud in free agency. He is also coming off an ACL tear. And because as of right now, it's like, you got Nico Collins, who's awesome. And then you have John Mechie, who is also awesome, but very unproven. So, at least at the NFL level. So to get a guy like Ibuka, I feel like he would definitely kind of stabilize that wide receiver room a little bit as of what it's looking like right now. So, big fan of this pick. And then number 26, you got the Rams taking Darius Alexander, D tackle out of Toledo. Senior Bowl standout, fills in a need. He kind of put it next to Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. They got a very, very young defensive line over there in LA. And, they're kind of still rebuilding it after the retirement of Aaron Donald. Jared Verse looked awesome last year, Rookie of the Year. And yeah, the rich get richer over there in LA. But depending on what happens with Stafford, who knows what'll happen with this pick. I'm very interested to see what's going to go on there in LA with that whole Matthew Stafford situation. Could it all just be, not real? Maybe. But I do think there is, legitimacy, excuse me, to this Matthew Stafford situation. So I'm interested to see what happens. But yeah, we're really going down the stretch here. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M edge. Just as DJ says, just feels like a Raven. They could always use help on the defense there, especially at the edge position. Excuse me, a lot of talking going on here. And I feel like Shamar Stewart, another guy that's a great athlete, just kind of fits the Ravens culture. And then we move to 28. Donovan Jackson, Ohio State guard. You're seeing a lot of Ohio State players here, and they're going to need to fill that need of losing Kevin Zeitler in free agency. And I feel like a player like Donovan Jackson, who just won a national championship, kind of has that winning culture, would be an easy way to fill it. So great pick there. And you go to the Commanders, who are going to take Jahad Campbell here, linebacker out of Alabama. Elite player and definitely definitely a favorite of mine when it comes to this draft class. I feel like any team that ends up with Campbell is going to get a great player, and I'm very excited to see where he goes. Then you go to the Bills here, who has taken Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. So horns down, obviously, but yeah, I like this pick too because they're probably going to lose Amari Cooper for free agency. You still kind of have that need a wide receiver because you got Keon Coleman, Corey Davis, Khalil Shakir. But to get another guy in that room, I think that would definitely help Josh Allen, who just came off an MVP. And kind of help them kind of get over that hump in the playoffs, hopefully. But they also do have defensive needs, so we could see this pick changing when it comes to future mock drafts. Now we move to the Super Bowl runner-ups here. Josh Connerly to the Kansas City Chiefs. If you did watch Super Bowl, the Chiefs could absolutely use more help on the offensive line. It's kind of like what happened, a few years ago when they lost to Tampa Bay. I feel like they're gonna probably try to rebuild this offensive line a little bit, and get a great player like Connerly here. Definitely could help fill out that left tackle, which seemed like a huge need, especially in the Super Bowl. And then, last but most certainly not least, we have our Super Bowl champions here in the Philadelphia Eagles, who are going to go safety with Malachi Starks out of Georgia, of course, Georgia, Eagles. I mean, this happens with N'Kobe Dean, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis. Need I say more? I feel like, if you're a Georgia player and you have any first round talent, the Eagles are going to take you. And that doesn't change at all here. And I'm just very concerned that if the Eagles get another Georgia player, I mean, it's very simple. They just take players from the best, one of the best programs, and kind of just put them in their program, and it works out very well. And this will probably be another case of that. And they're kind of just building on that young secondary they got going there. They took DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell last year. You get another guy in there like Malachi Starks. Kind of phase out these older guys and replace them with the younger players. That's kind of what they're going for, and that's exactly what you see here. But yes, that wraps up all 32 picks here. Some I feel like I had more to say than others, but let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're excited for the draft. Who are some guys that you're high on? Who are some guys that you're a little low on? I would love to know. And yeah, this has been another Baby Back Rib Show video. I'm very excited for this offseason. I'm excited to see what happens in free agency and the draft and all that. So stay on the channel because there will definitely be a lot of content coming soon. If you just, if it's your first video, Otto just did a video doing a quiz on all the 4,000 yard passing quarterbacks. So watch that if you're, looking for something to watch. And yeah, thank you guys for the support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.